Okay, so we are on the home straight. We have our pages set up. We have our content loaded in. We've got everything in feature blocks, and we have our color scheme, and our text looks really smart. Now, last thing we need to do, I guess, is add some images.
Yeah, absolutely. For most businesses, you're going to want a visual approach these days to how you present your sales proposal. Gone are the sort of days of big wordy contract documents, and that's what it is. People don't really respond to that. We're in a visual world. Everything is more visual than it has been ever, really, in terms of marketing. So the most important thing is to add some really great imagery into your proposals that is applicable to the page you're talking about and to your brand. Now, if you've got existing photography that you've had professionally taken, that's fantastic. Use them as they are, crop them into the same size to fit the proposal layout, same as you would in a brochure or anything like that. That's fantastic. But that can be very expensive. So for a user who doesn't have the budget to do that, or to go out and take photography, then there is a huge ability to use free, royalty-free photography online. So you use Unsplash, for example.
Yeah, we've used Unsplash an awful lot. I mean, are there any others that you know off the top of your head?
There's Pexels, which is a similar approach, and basically they're full of professional level stock photography.
They're like stock photos that don't look like stock
Yeah,
photos.
they're stock photos that are maybe a bit more, dare I say, Instagrammy or a bit more dynamic, which is actually really good because it's more believable and it's more professional in its appeal rather than a really static corporate, image bundle like you might have on some of the paid sites. So what we're going to do in the same way for our proposal here is we've gone through Unsplash before and we've selected a bunch of images that fit this particular proposal, and rather than just picking specific, any random images, what we've done is we've specifically chosen certain images to have a psychological effect as you go through the proposal. So what we're going to do is we're going to add all those in now, and you can do that very simply just with the editor. You go in and you can upload an image.
So you've done you're going to do these as full width images, right?
Absolutely, yeah. That's purely a stylistic taste for me, because it emulates brochures and a lot of current web design trends. But obviously you could either have your image placed within the center of content, or like this, you could have full width. I just think personally it looks better.
I agree, and I think, in the way that you are describing this and the way that they're kind of done, I feel, thinking about all the templates in the marketplace as well, I feel like the images being in the content, I feel like that should be more like something very, very specific. So you can totally use the full width images for, I'm trying to think how to describe it, like almost more just they're there as like a design piece. They're not really specifically about anything. Like, there's no real reason why you can't use Unsplash images of people. They're obviously actors, and you see them all over the internet, but there's no reason that they don't bring anything down. In fact, they really add to it because they're super colorful. They're very well edited. They add an element of professionalism where maybe otherwise that wouldn't be there. And then you can use the images inside the editor to add something specific. So for instance, if you're, simple example, but if you're a web designer, for instance, what you might do is add examples of your actual work in the editor where you're talking about that, and then just have sort of like artistic shots of laptops and lights and desks and all that kind of stuff that you might find on Unsplash. And that balance between the two adds an element of sort of artisticness and, I suppose, something more definitive in the actual example. Would you go along with that?
Yeah, absolutely. The reality is that even though our technology, even on our phones, you can take great images now. Not everybody is a photographer in the same way that not everybody is a designer. Whereas these photos, they're free to use either personally or for corporate use, and they're generally really good. They're good quality. There's a lot of quality control on these sites. So, you're going to get a great shot that's really in focus, that has a lot of color and vibrancy, and that's going to add to your brand. If we look at this specific one here on the Your Investment page that we've created, we've picked a picture of a young woman because it's within the target demographic that we're looking towards for this particular proposal. The coloring of the green and the blue within her top, match our color scheme, which is, you doesn't have to, but it serves well, and that's purely from Unsplash. We can put her in, and the great thing is that even the expression that she has on her face and the way that she's smiling psychologically has been proven to reassure as you go through, and that's going to help you convert. That's simply how it works. You're talking about why they should take this on this page, your investment. Why should you spend money with us? And here you've got somebody going, smiling, and you're giving that sense of calm. You can relate to it, and that's what makes you relaxed, makes them more likely to sign that contract.
Genius. All right. Okay. Well, that's our images.
Yeah. So I think we're just coming to the end. That's it. So we've added all of the images.
That's it, isn't it? I mean, there's nothing really else to do. I mean, look, you've got your basics to put in there, like your digital signature area. You obviously want to put in that in there, and your pricing table. But they're not really. Obviously, you want to put your digital signature thing in your template. That just saves you time, and your pricing table as well. But in terms of like what you'd actually put in there, in terms of your pricing table, that's more sort of specific to sort of pricing and things, which isn't really a part of the design, but you would still obviously include that stuff in there. But yeah, I think the approach that we've taken here is essentially get your content and add up your pages, create your pages into better proposals, and that gives you your little structure, and now you can just copy in one after the other. Add everything in as feature blocks, and then just break it up whenever there's a subheader. Add your color scheme. If you have an existing color scheme in your brand, then obviously use that. You can use the your blacks, your whites, and the greys in the color palette. Or if you don't have a brand, or you just fancy the ones that we've already designed for you, then you can just use those in the color palette, and you're pretty much not going to go wrong. And then really just go to Unsplash, go to Pexels. How do you spell that?
Pexels. PEXELS.com, I think.
Okay, cool. We'll find the link. We'll stick it on here. And then really that's it. Just go and do that. Load those images in there, and you are going to have an incredibly smart looking proposal template, which is undoubtedly going to convert and help win you some more business. So, mate, thank you.
No worries. Anytime.
Cool. Thank you.